All right. First of all, welcome to another webFEAT webinar. My name is Justin Marshall, and I'm the Director of Social Media Marketing here at webFEAT Complete. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's geo-targeting, and more specifically, social media ads geotargeting. And like I said, if you've If you've joined one of our webinars before, welcome back. If not, real quickly about webFEAT Complete. We are a full-service digital marketing agency based in Cincinnati. We were founded in 1999, so that makes us one of the oldest, and we're also one of the largest digital agencies in Cincinnati, with over 21 years of digital design and SEO experience. Our services include anything from website design, search engine optimization, social media management, content management, and then website hosting, email hosting. So any form of digital marketing there is, we do it over at webFEAT Complete. So it's the full gamut of services. So quickly, wanted to touch on the agenda for today. So first and foremost, we're going to obviously talk about what geo-targeting is, and then move into its benefits for you and your company. And we're going to do this by covering some basic geo-targeting features, move on to some advanced geo-targeting features, and then we're going to get real fancy and hit the super advanced geo-targeting features. And then after covering all of that, we're going to discuss how and why your company can use geo-targeting. And we're going to do that through some example campaigns throughout the presentation, and some example ads and some other features. And then at the very end, I'm going to touch on some additional targeting options that we don't have time for in this presentation, but if you have any questions about those, you can definitely ask questions later, contact us, and I'll be glad to go over those with you. And then before moving on, we've been doing things a little bit differently with the webinars. So please feel free to ask questions during the presentation instead of holding on to them. So if you have to hop out earlier, step away for a second, you don't forget what your question was. I'll be keeping an eye over on the chat box for questions, and hopefully I will be able to answer those in a timely fashion as we go through the presentation. Okay. First and foremost, let's talk about what geo-targeting is. Well, geo-targeting is a method of marketing where you are marketing to a certain subset of users within a certain set of parameters. So these parameters can be anything from zip codes, radiuses, specific cities, states, or countries. And then we'll even discuss some hyper and local areas, such as like event venues and things of that nature. But the general definition of geo-targeting is that it's a certain subset of users using a set of parameters. So why would you then want to geo-target? I'm going to explain this using an example with one of our clients. So this client is a jewelry store, and their store is freestanding, so it's outside of a mall. So their issue was they wanted to attract customers to their store location, but it's not in the mall itself, it's across from the mall. So their goal was they wanted to get more foot traffic to the store, and our strategy that we were going to use was we wanted to get shoppers who are already looking to buy jewelry to come to their store who may not know that they exist. So our solution here was we set up a geo-targeting campaign to potential customers who are inside of the mall. And they're also maybe newly engaged or preparing for a wedding. So the reason for this is we wanted to geo-target to those customers and say, hey, we're right across the street and we have better options, better prices, and hopefully attract them to their location. So as a result, through our strategies, we were able to increase their foot traffic to their store by 56%. And this was over the lifetime of the campaign from start to finish. And this is just an example of one of the ads that we were running. So, less pressure, more style, visit our showroom across from the Tri-County Mall to view the new styles in our engagement collection. And then below that, we have, an image of one of their products, and then we have a directions button. So if someone were to see this ad in their social media feed, they would be able to click on it, and it would immediately open up their Maps app on their phone, and they would be able to visit the store. So that's just, at its simplest form, a basic example of how geo-targeting can work, in this case for a freestanding store. But we're gonna get into a little bit more advanced things and kind of get into how your company can use it to your advantage. So a couple terms to keep in mind as we go through this, and ones that we're trying to focus on. The first one is ROI, which is obviously return on investment. And we can achieve that by finding the higher value customers. And then ARPU, which is average revenue per user. Again, we can achieve this by finding the higher value customers. So we want both of these metrics to go up. And that's the main goal of how targeting and geo-targeting can help you increase your profits. And then really quickly, most of the examples I'm going to use here are using Facebook. However, all of these strategies can be used across all social platforms. So Instagram, for example, because they're part of Facebook, you can manage ads within the same dashboard. And then LinkedIn, they also have their own ads targeting options. And then you can even get into some different targeting options than you can on Facebook. So the examples that are going to follow are mostly Facebook. However, you can use all of these for any social platform that you would like. So to illustrate kind of the power of geo-targeting and better explain how it is and what it works, I'm going to walk through an example scenario, and it'll kind of better show you what exactly we're talking about when we're talking about geo-targeting. So this is an example scenario with a client we ran an ad campaign for. It's a local landscaping company who wanted to grow their brand awareness and their qualified leads, and then while keeping their ROI and average revenue per user high. And it was during a 2-month stretch. And this campaign started just before their low season. So they wanted to kind of get as many customers as they could right before their business started to slow down, and kind of give them a little boost heading into the off season. And then another note, these strategies, this is an example with a landscaping company. However, these strategies work across all industries and companies as well. Okay, so the scenario is it's a landscaping company in the landscaping industry, and the goal they wanted to achieve was more qualified leads via their website. So in their case, a lead is a form submission or a phone call from their website. And then we also had a miscellaneous goal, a secondary goal, which is they wanted to increase their brand awareness simultaneously. And then, so their budget was $10 a day, or about $300 a month, give or take a few dollars. So that was our objective. So the first thing that we want to do when we're starting up our geo-targeting campaign is first we need to pick our goal. So if you see here, we are given a lot of goals, goal options within our ads manager in Facebook. You know, we have brand awareness campaigns. We have a reach campaign, which is when you just want your ads to reach as many people as possible, you know, regardless of how qualified they may be. We have a traffic campaign, which is you just want to grow traffic to your website. An engagement campaign is, you know, you want to get more likes and comments and shares on your posts. However, in our case, we are focusing on conversions. So we want to optimize our campaign for conversions. All right, so here are the base targeting options that we're always going to start with in any ad campaign and geo-targeting ad campaign. So I have a few areas that I want to touch on. So when we're starting up our geo-targeting campaigns, we always want to start with the general location. So in our case, our landscaping company has a service area of about 25 miles around the city center. So we have set our ad radius to only show to people within a 25-mile radius of Cincinnati. That's the basic of most basic geo-targeting strategies and features. From there, we can move down to the age and gender. You know, in our case, typically we see more people above 30, you know, converting on these ads. So we have age 30 to 65 plus. And then obviously gender, you know, some industries serve or convert better with women, and some convert better with men, and some convert with both. In our case, it's both. So that's, again, that's another just basic foundational targeting option. Then we'll move up here to our audience size. So an audience size is, all things being equal, it's the total amount of Facebook users that your ad can be shown to. So all things being equal, your ad has the potential to reach 900,000 people based on these three targeting options. So we're just going to want to keep track of that as we move through these through the process of geo-targeting. And then down below that, we have the daily estimated results. So the reach here, it says at $10 a day, your ad has the potential to reach, based on our estimations, 939 to 2.7 thousand people per day. You know, Facebook is using their algorithms and their artificial intelligence and historical data to come up with this estimation. And then the same for conversions. So they're saying, you know, you have the opportunity to convert about 2 to 13 people per day. And then the most important part of this entire dashboard is this blue bar, which I call the quality bar. So this is the most important factor we want to keep an eye on. So the quality bar is saying, okay, so you may convert on 2 to 13 people per day, but this bar is the quality of those leads. So you may get 13 leads, but they're not very high quality, and the chances of you actually getting a sale or getting a service out of them are relatively low based on your targeting options and our confidence that they will convert. So as we continue to go through these targeting options, our goal is to raise both of these bars up as high as we possibly can. So you'll see as we go kind of how we're going to do that. And as a result, get more bang for our buck. Okay, so just real quickly, just if you want to take a note on your computer or write it down. So based on the basic targeting options that I just talked about, just think in your head or write it down what your base target audience would look like. So what location, what radius, age range and gender would you be targeting, and then that'll give us a starting point to build your geo-targeting campaign. So yeah, just real quickly, if you want to write it down or just think about it in your head, it'll help you kind of understand the next things that we're going to talk about. All right, so we are going to move on to some advanced location targeting, and there's 4 types of advanced geo-targeting features. So the goal of these is to further narrow down our audience and raise that quality bar and lower our cost per conversion. So these 4 options will help you do that. And the first one is to target everyone who is in a certain location. So, for example, maybe you're a restaurant or a bar. You may want to use this option. So for example, Urban Artifact Brewery, they want to target everyone within a 5-mile radius of their brewery. The reason for this is they don't care who comes to their brewery. They just want everyone close by to come stop in, and they want them to know where they're at. So in this case, you just want to target everyone within the area, and that's what selecting everyone within a certain location does. The next one is by selecting people who actually live in a specific location. So this will be good for a lawn care company or an HVAC company or a cleaning service. For example, an HVAC company wants to target only people who live in a 25-mile radius around them. This will weed out the people who just work in the area or the people who are driving through the area. So, we want to make sure that we're hitting the people who live there and have a home within the area. So we're not wasting money on the other users. The third targeting option here is by selecting people who are traveling through a specific location. So in this case, maybe it's a law firm or like a hotel or accommodations company of some kind. This would be a really good option for you. For example, a DUI lawyer may want to target a 1-mile radius around the courthouse in order to find potential clients. That's, if you see here, so for example, if there's a law firm in Batavia, they're only targeting people traveling through that location. And that, again, will just help you reduce your ad spend and narrow your target audience to who you're really looking to find. And then lastly is by selecting people who were recently in a location. I give the examples here of maybe you're a sports apparel company who may want to target everyone who is at the Bengals game because you have Bengals apparel, and you're assuming if they're at the Bengals game, then they're a fan of the Bengals. Or if you're a manufacturing company, you may want to target a convention center where an industry trade show is going on. Because again, you're assuming if they're at the convention center during this time, you're assuming that they're interested in the event going on, in this case, manufacturing. So this could be a great way to capture an audience using people who were recently in a location. So how is that location determined? Well, there's a few ways. And the first one is from the data collected by your smartphones and by your computers. So if you have the Facebook app on your phone where you log into facebook.com or any social network and you're allowing location services, they're going to know where you're at. So even if your app is not open and you have allowed location services at all times, you can be tracked, and so can your users. So that is the main way that Facebook knows how to target you based on these locations. The second way is by manual check-ins. So a user can just check into a business that they're at, or a location that they're at, maybe a park, and Facebook can use that and determine where they're at, and then you would have the ability to target to that user. And then lastly is simply where a user lists that they live in their profile. If they have it displaying as public, that means Facebook can use it. So those are the three main ways. But again, the data collected by the smartphone and by the computer are the main ways. And they're also more real time than the other ways. Okay, so now we're going to get into some advanced geo-targeting strategies, and those are targeting by a radius and also including location exclusions. So if you remember before, we had our radius set up for our landscaping company as 25 miles. However, now we want to add in an exclusion to further narrow our audience. So we don't want to include downtown Cincinnati in our campaigns because there's less of a chance that a homeowner is going to have a lawn in downtown Cincinnati. Thus, we don't want to serve ads to those people and waste our money on showing the ads to people that we know for a fact are not going to have a lawn. So we have an exclusion of 45202, which is the downtown zip code. So if you see here in the map, now our ads will not show to 45202. As a result, if you move up to the top right, our potential overall reach has gone down, but that's okay, because below that, our estimated daily reach has gone up because now we are, there's less users to spread out the ads to. So there's more opportunity for these ads to be shown to the correct individuals. So this was below 1,000 before, we're now at 1,500. This was at 2.7 thousand, we're now at 4.3 thousand potential daily users reach. And then below that, while our conversions have gone down slightly by 2, the quality bar has increased substantially. So this is saying you may get less than 10 conversions per day. However, those conversions are much higher quality and you have a much higher chance to convert on these users. And this over here is just an example of, we've now chosen people who live in this location. So they live in a 25-mile radius of Cincinnati, excluding 45202. So, you know, exclusions can help target wider areas within specific excluded locations, in this case, an urban area. Okay, and then we're gonna now get into some super advanced targeting features, as I call them, to really increase that ROI and ARPU, the average revenue per user, even more. So say this business, in this example, they did know where their best customers came from. So we can use the zip codes from the areas that we know the best customers have come from. And then we can only target by those zip codes to people who live in them. So in this case, we have these 4 zip codes. This is kind of the Montgomery, Indian Hill area. And then we still have our age and gender targeting. If you notice now, our potential reach has gone to 20,000 people. And that's okay, because now if you come below, those 20,000 people are much higher quality, and the confidence that Facebook's algorithm and artificial intelligence has in them becoming an actual customer is essentially maxed out at this point. And that's all through, you know, a combination of knowing your customers and research based geo-targeting analysis. So we really want to make sure that we're targeting the right people so we can get this quality bar as high as possible. And then the results of this campaign. So like I said before, we ran this for about 2 months, 65 days. We reached 17,000 people with 34,000 impressions. So that essentially means each person on average saw their ad at least 2 times. We had 316 clicks to the website, through the ad to the website. Spent a little under $700. We had 36 conversions. That's people who either filled out a form or called. Of those 36, 11 of the jobs were actually completed. So they converted on their leads. And then an average cost per service was $1,950, which means the total revenue from the quotes was $21,450. And this gives a total return on ad spend of 30.7, which means for every $1 we spent on this campaign, this company got $30.73 in return. So this is the landscaping industry. You know, results will vary based on your industry, but that's just kind of an example of, you know, how geo-targeting works and how you can you know, get ultra specific and narrow with your campaigns. And this is just an example of just one of the ads. This is more of a fun ad with some just kind of quirky icons. We also had some, you know, more serious ad creative that we had out there, you know, a little video. So we had multiple campaigns running, or creative campaigns running. And then mobile and desktop, something to touch on very quickly. So another way you can target it is through either a mobile device or on your desktop computer. So if you look at mobile, so mobile targeting is good for companies where your product or your service is mostly to people who are traveling or moving around in an effort to help them find you when they're near you. And then a desktop is good for companies where your product or service comes to the customer at their home, business, or location when you are near to them. So most of the time, you want to have both of these options checked, but there are cases, instances where you want to choose one or the other based on whatever the campaign is you're running. And then if you are targeting to mobile, very important to keep in mind, you must have a mobile optimized website because much in the way that Google will penalize websites who aren't optimized for mobile, Facebook and LinkedIn and these other social networks will do the same. So if your website doesn't look good on a phone, then your ads aren't going to be performing as well, and you may be wasting a lot of money. So just something to keep in mind. And then this is could be a topic presentation all on its own. This is what's called lifetime value targeting. So if you're a company who keeps records of their customers and you have, for example, their name, their email, their address, and then how much they spent with you over the lifetime of being a customer, we're able to export that database and upload it into Facebook. And then Facebook and LinkedIn can do this as well. Will analyze this list and it will determine who your best customers are. And then it will then target your ads to other users who look like your best performing customers. So essentially you're telling Facebook, hey, these people are my best customers. They spend the most money. And then Facebook's saying, okay, I'm gonna go find more people like that and show your ads to them. So this is just a great way to ultra narrow your who you're showing your ads to, and then, you know, with the goal of getting more conversions. And then, we can geo-target by an event. So, for example, I briefly touched on it, but if you want to target, a Bengals game or the Taste of Cincinnati or Riverbend concert, you have the ability to do that. Or a trade show at a convention center or a networking event, you're able to fine tune when the ads are shown throughout the day. So, maybe you want to start it a couple hours before a trade show and then a couple hours after it stops. That's something you're able to do, and not something you're really able to do, through other traditional forms of advertising like television and radio. So that's just an example of the flexibility of not only geo-targeting but social media ads in general. So why narrow your audience? Well, broader audiences definitely reach more people. So if you were to go in and just set your location as 25-mile radius, you're going to get in front of more people, but they're lower value and you're not going to convert on them. So you're potentially wasting a lot of money by showing your ads to users who aren't interested. And as this says, you're just ensuring your ads are being shown to relevant users, which increases your return on investment and average revenue per user. And then again, like I said, it's not something you can do with traditional forms of advertising like radio and television. Okay, so is geo-targeting right for you? And this is just another real quick in your head, or write it down. Think about which of these advanced targeting strategies would have the most value for your business. Is it radius targeting by, targeting by radius with excluded areas? Is it custom targeting by zip code? Is it the lifetime value targeting, the lifetime value list? Or is it events and trade show targeting? A lot of our clients find value in a lot of different options. So there's no one correct option, but just think about how you can use these examples and these options to really take advantage of geo-targeting and social media ads. All right, so I just want to show you how some companies are using geo-targeting in their ad campaigns through a few example ads. So this first one here is they're targeting a customer's physical location. They have a physical location and they want a customer to visit their location. So in this case, Jasper's Market wanted to create awareness of their local shop. So we're targeting a 15-mile radius. We have an age modifier on there, and then we also have an interest-based modifier, and which is people who also like organic food. So we shoot this ad out there, and we have a directions button. So again, they can just click on the directions, and immediately they have directions to this local market. This is an example of an ad campaign we did for an HVAC company. So it's the service industry with a set area of service. So they wanted to promote their heating system maintenance to their target service area. So we geo-targeted people who live in their service area by a specific zip code. And then we also know from research that typically users age 30 to 65 is their target market and who respond better. And then we have an interest-based targeting modifier to only show this to homeowners. So that gives us a better chance of converting. And again, this is just, they're promoting their $99 full service HVAC system check before winter. And then they have a link to learn more. This is an example of an urban area ad. So people that, in this case, work downtown So we had a men's suit store that was located downtown, and they specifically wanted to target the central business district, but not necessarily people who lived downtown. So we targeted a 1 mile radius around downtown, which is basically covers all of it. Ages 27 to 65 plus. And then we had a behavior-based targeting modifier, and that was the job level, and the job level being middle management to executive level, because this is a little bit higher end men's suit store. So we didn't want to potentially serve ads to people that couldn't necessarily afford the expensive suits that they sell. And then on the inverse, we have a rural area. And the example here is if you're maybe a DUI lawyer in a small town, and you want to target around the courthouse so that users who would potentially need their service would see their ads. And we have it set up to only show it to people who are traveling through this location. So not people that work there, not people that live there necessarily. And then we have our age modifier, and then over here we have, DUI attorney, did you get arrested for driving drunk? So hopefully that would catch the eyes of the people that were at the courthouse for their court hearing. And then the event, trade show, and conference example. So in this case, a manufacturing trade show was going on in Detroit, and we knew that this company's user base would be attending. It's a big trade show, one of the biggest trade shows. So we targeted the area around the venue because our assumption was people that were in the venue were interested in manufacturing. That's why they're there. So we wanted to try to capture those people. So we targeted everyone in that location over a 3-day span. We had their age modifier, and then we had a job-based targeting modifier, and that was people who were in the manufacturing industry. So that's just, the trade show and conference and an event geo-targeting is really great because you can look at all the events coming up throughout the year in your industry and then create all of your ads ahead of time. And we can set them up to start and stop exactly when we want. And then they'll be done for the year. And, you can feel confident knowing that your ads are going to be reaching out and targeting all of the events and trade shows that you want them to. Here we have an online only company. So they're a clothing store and they sell winter attire. So in this case, if it's an online only company, we would only want to target to people who maybe live in colder environments. We don't necessarily want to select our location as Florida or Texas. So we would be able to choose that. And because it's more women's clothing, we would want to hedge our bets and select women in this case. And then we have some behavior-based targeting. And this is essentially targeting that's tracked by Facebook, and it knows people that like to shop online more than others. And then our interest-based targeting is people who are interested in fashion. So Facebook would look at the pages that people like and recognize that this person may be more into fashion than other people. So they may have a higher opportunity to convert. And then if not, you can also use this for nonprofits if you're trying to raise money. So in this case, we are trying to serve our ads to the wealthier areas of the city with more disposable incomes to help raise money for a certain cause. So, we're targeting by location, we're targeting by household income level. So we want to make sure we get, the higher household income to a more disposable income. And then an interest-based targeting modifier is the pages that they like. So Facebook will look at the pages that someone likes, and if they see that they like a lot of these charities or nonprofit organizations, they're going to show this ad to them more often. because they assumed that they would also be interested in this ad. And then here's a really good example of how to use a mobile-only ad. So this was for a local restaurant, and we told them that we wanted to only target people who were at the airport. These people may be getting off of a plane, and they may not have their computers out. So what we did was we targeted people who were only traveling in this location around the airport. And then we did interspace targeting as maybe they're a foodie or they take a lot of business trips or they're a wine lover. And then we only showed this ad to people on mobile devices. So like I stated, maybe they don't have their computers out yet and they're hopping in a cab or an Uber and they have their phone and they're on their way to their hotel. We're going to try and capture them with this ad. In this case for a local restaurant. And then we, state in the copy, welcome to Cincinnati, dinner is served. They may not want to eat in the airport. They may want a better place. So this is just a good example of a mobile only advertisement. And then an example of a desktop only ad. So in this case, it's a software company. So they sell and develop a software that works on PCs and Macs. And their goal is they want people to download their trial. So because it's a software, we target it worldwide because anyone can use it. And then we did our interest-based modifier, which is people in the IT and tech space, design, industry. And then we only showed this on desktop because this is a piece of software that is only downloadable on a desktop computer or a laptop computer. So if we were to serve this ad to people on their phones, it would kind of be worthless because they're not able to download this software. So those are just examples of when you would use a mobile ad and when you would use a desktop only ad. All right, wrapping up. So geo-targeting is a really great strategy to advertise online because it provides high ROI and tracking capabilities. You can help build those connections with potential customers and it helps build your brand awareness in general. And then, ultimately it helps you to increase your sales. And it helps increase your sales while simultaneously cutting down on your ad spend cost that's being wasted on irrelevant users. And I also want to state that the flexibility of it is unparalleled. So, like I said, you can start it, stop it whenever you want. You can change the budget whenever you want. You can change the ad creative, add more creative, change your targeting. As you're seeing results, you can go in and we can research as the campaigns are running and fine tune them and get you the best ROI possible. And then lastly, I don't have time to talk about all of these, but I'll touch on some of them because each one of these can really be its own little mini webinar. These are some additional targeting factors along with the geo-targeting portion of everything that can really help raise that quality bar that we talked about and raise your ROI and your average revenue per user. So we touched on some of these, but interest-based targeting, that's, Facebook will look at what a user is interested in and we can target based on that. Behavior-based targeting, Facebook can look at a user's behavior. So if they're logged into Facebook on their computer and they're browsing Amazon, Facebook can see those types of behaviors and they can better target your ads to the users you want. Retargeting and remarketing. So we can set it up to where if a user visits your website and then later on they pop over to LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, we can then serve an ad to that person and retarget them. So we know they were interested in your site because they were on it. So then we can solidify your company by retargeting to them on the social networks. Life event targeting, so you can target to people who maybe they just graduated, maybe they just got engaged, and you know, for whatever reason you want to be able to target to people you know are getting ready to get married. Lookalike audiences, so this is, like I said, it's when we target to an audience that already looks like your current customer base. Work, industry, title, employer targeting, we can target to specific companies if they're big enough. Financial targeting, generational targeting, so you know, millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers, whatever generation you want to target. Political targeting, purchase behavior targeting, so like I said, if someone shops a lot, Facebook can look at the online shopping that they're doing and better understand their purchase behavior. Seasonal targeting. We have a lot of people that use seasonal targeting in other ad campaigns to where they're able to set up their campaign 2 or 3 months ahead of their busy season, an asphalt company, for example, and they're able to fill up their book for the entire summer based on one ad campaign. So seasonal targeting is a really big one. Connection-based targeting, you can target to people who already like your social profiles or people who don't like your social profiles yet. Residential profile targeting, you know, based on, you know, what kind of house someone lives in or where they live. Education level targeting, relationship targeting, and there's much more, but these are kind of just some of the big ones. And like I said, I can expand upon how all of these work if you have any questions about any of them. Okay, so before I log off, I just wanted to keep you in the loop on our future webinars. So next is Corey, and he's talking about e-commerce and should you be selling online? It's especially important now during this time with the change and the shift in the way people are shopping more online. So that's on July 8th. And then Blogging Bootcamp with Natalie, and she's going to be talking about you know, why it's so important to have a blog on your website. You know, it's important for SEO, it's important for social media, and it's important for, you know, a lot of other reasons. And she'll tell you more about that on July 22nd. And then, as always, feel free to follow us on social media. We're posting a lot of helpful content. We have a bunch of podcasts that we've done are up there, a bunch of blog posts, these all our previous videos, previous webinars we post up there. So if you're interested in going back and watching those, please feel free to follow us. And that is all. I don't see any questions, but I will stay on for a few minutes. If you have any questions for me, I will happily answer those for you. Thanks again for coming. Definitely check out our website for our upcoming events, not only the 2 I talked about, but we have you know, 5 or 6 coming up that are definitely interesting. How do you get started with Facebook advertising? Well, the first thing that I suggest is setting up a Facebook Business Manager profile. So you would just go to business.facebook.com and essentially, you know, create an account or connect your account. And then, you know, from there, you can, there's a lot of options, you know, there's targeting, there's audiences that you need to create, you need to, you know, set up your tracking. But, you know, that's everything, you know, we do all of that for you. If you were interested in talking to us more about it, but, you know, the first step is definitely setting up your business manager profile and linking it to your current accounts. hope that answered your question fully. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you in the next one. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, go ahead and end this. Thanks again, everyone.